Plenty of Canadian musicians connect with global audiences to great acclaim, but few reach as far into the sonic universe as Daniel Lanois. His fingerprints are all over music you know and very likely love. From U2 to Bob Dylan, his work as a producer, composer, and on his own records puts Daniel Lanois in a league of his own, with multiple Juno and Grammy Awards and a place in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. He's got a new record out. It's called Heavy Sun, and we're pleased it brings him to our virtual studio from Toronto. It's such an honor to meet you. Enchanté.
Oh, thank you, Nam. Thank you for taking the time to drag me out of bed.
Well, excellent. Before we start chatting, I just wanted to play a short clip from the title track called Under the Heavy Sun. Sheldon, please roll.
Okay.
Tell you I know a place, the spirit rising from the ground, over there, they're singing in the night. We're gonna shake 'em on down, and you can call your friends, tell 'em to come on in.
Bob Marley once sang, one good thing about music, when it hits, you feel no pain. And listening to this record, it made me feel that way. I really love the track, Tumbling Stone. Is that the feeling you wanted people to have from this record?
I like the track Tumbling Stone because it suggests a journey and leaving one thing behind to find another. And I think in these times, I've noticed that people are searching. And that's okay. Maybe it's always been the case. But for anyone who's searching, they might find a little something in the Heavy Sun record somewhere, and certainly in Tumbling Stone.
And the organ in that track, I know this is kind of like asking you to pick your favorite child, but is there one instrument that maybe conveys emotion better than others?
Well, I guess that's the job we have, really, is to find the emotion in an instrument, in an approach, because tools are easy to come by. You know, you can buy an organ, but you may not play it yet. So I think devotion is a long journey, especially with a musical instrument. So I find emotion in the organ, if the right player sits at it. And I certainly find it in my steel guitar. I've been playing that since I was a child, so when it speaks to me, it speaks to me on a level of emotion. So there you go.
And well, this song on the album has been described as having, it feels like it's taking you to church. It has that feeling of not only community, but just the energy and the joy. Does that carry over to other songs on the album?
Well, the album has a lot of spirit in it. You know, when we released it, somebody said, well, it feels as though it could be in response to being closed up by the pandemic, and had sort of some kind of a key to joy in it. But I think that feeling largely comes from harmony singing, because harmony singing suggests cooperation and being at one with your mates. And if we go beyond the quartet singing and we go to the community, it's nice to be aligned with our community. And so I think maybe that's where the spirit lives, is in gathering and community.
If you've ever been to parts of Africa, there's this great tree, the baobab tree, that is just, it's magnificent, and it usually serves as a place for community. And you've said that this album was influenced by a 1,000-year-old tree. In what ways?
Well, the 1,000-year-old tree lives in Tula, which is in Mexico. And I came upon it on an off chance when I was driving through Mexico some time back. And I visited the 1,000-year-old tree. And there were people under the tree, and some were having picnics, some were praying, some were just having a moment of solitude. And I thought the tree was a great gathering place. They weren't worshiping the tree. They were thanking the tree for being stable for that much time. And I think we all need sanctuary somehow. Some people find it, just having a moment alone, maybe doing visiting a mantra, that would do it. Someone else exercises, someone else rides a bicycle, and so on. So it's just a nice reminder about the sanctuary, and the Tree of Tula had that in it for me. It was just a really lovely place of gathering.
Well, I was going to just follow up on that because you said the tree offered sanctuary. Does this record offer you sanctuary?
Well, I made the record, and we always find we go into the depths of record making, and to go into the depths of harmony singing, I suppose is sanctuary in itself. Mm-hmm. Just to have an understanding of how the parts interlocked, and so you can't be thinking about yourself too much. You have to be thinking about the others, and maybe that's the gift of it, that it feels selfless somehow.
Well, you wear many hats. You're a producer and you're a musician. Where do you feel most at home, producing or as an artist?
Well, there used to be a difference back in the day, when I was a kid doing that. I was either working for somebody else or I was writing a song on my own. But the more in the modern world, the more we travel, the more we find that it all bleeds together. We just came off the road. We did 3 lovely shows. We call it the St. Lawrence River Tour. We played Montreal, Quebec City, and Trois-Rivières. And there was something really lovely about the power of those 3 shows and bringing people together. And we were able to take those recordings back to the studio here. And so if there's anything in there that I want to visit, then it could become part of a record. So I think in modern times, everything's bleeding together. You can even have your own radio station.
This is true. It must have been such an awesome experience to be able to share that music again with an audience. How did it feel?
Well, we hadn't played a show in a while, a couple of years, and to be communicating to an audience really there was something very special about it. And I'm glad you brought it up because it plays on our skills or our talent to communicate, and we hear our music through the ears of an audience, and we modify the show accordingly. I might play my guitar a little longer than I would otherwise, and they might egg me on if I get a cheer from one guitar passage, I'll play a second one, and so on. And so we always leave ourselves a window of improv within an arrangement and a set. And sometimes someone will yell out a request, and we'll fulfill that request because it gives us a chance to do something that belongs to to that very moment. But it was nice to see people. I'll say it one more time. Congregation never goes out of fashion.
It doesn't. There's nothing like listening to music live with an audience, with other people. Even the sweat, the funny smells, I will never ever complain about that, or the sticky floors. I really just want to be around people and listening to music. But you just celebrated a birthday. You turned 70 years young.
No, that's not true. I'm 52.
You look great for 45. Happy belated birthday. But I wanted to go back a little bit. How did a kid from Hamilton end up on the world stage that you're on now?
Well, I'm a French-Canadian kid for starters, but my mom relocated the family to Hamilton when I was about 9 years old. I just got very excited about music, and I wasn't about to make a 3-pointer, so I thought, okay, I'll pursue the what seems to be an inclination and a talent, and I just never stopped. And then I bumped into the recording medium, and I got excited about that. I only ever stuck to my story, and I kept getting better and better, and then one day somebody called me a name. Hey, you! I said, what? I said, you're a producer. Oh, okay, that's what I am.
I mean, you're incredibly humble because once upon a time, you and your brother were recording in the basement of your home. You had all kinds of people come through that basement, and you were a very young man at the time, including Rick James even came to Hamilton to record with you. But you said something in a previous interview that I found so fascinating, and I think I found it fascinating because I'm a mom of 2 small kids. But your mom was very supportive, and you said something about how she allowed you kind of like the freedom to discover what it was that made you happy. And I know your mom passed away last year. Our condolences.
Yeah.
When you look back on your musical career, what would you say has been the bravest thing that you have done to get you to the point where you are now?
Well, to be brave, that's every day. I mean, to get up in the morning and maybe not feel too good and go in the studio, maybe it's not happening, but we stick to it and we're brave enough to wait for something to come by. Brave enough to hand the ball over to Wayne Lorenz, who's sitting on the couch here. He's my co-producer and was a brilliant mind. And so I may not feel very good on one day, and I'll talk to Wayne, and he will explain the position that we have, and we're always in ownership of something. Mm-hmm. We're always in ownership of an approach that belongs to us, and we just need to be reminded that the reset buttons are available to us. So it's nice to have a friend to drag us through the down times. So, but brave, I don't think it lives out there somewhere. I think it lives inside, and it's every minute of the day you got to be brave.
And music is something that helps people through those moments when you kind of just want to like sit on the couch, eat those bonbons. And music has a way of pulling you off that couch. Growing up, who were your musical influences?
I like the way you said bonbon. That's actually pronounced bonbon.
Bonbon.
We'll let it go.
I have a Franglais accent. Bonbon.
Well, the moments of inspiration come all kind of ways, but I will tell you a secret. We do keep some jelly beans on hand, and if I get a little depressed, I just go down and drop a few of those, and I come back in a good mood.
Well, after you can give me your address, and I can come by and get some.
But inspiration comes all kind of ways. Sometimes I'll hear a piece of music, and I think, oh my goodness, can't believe they did it quite that way. Whether it be something from the past or something brand new. Usually in an unexpected way is the way it happens for me. I'll go to the Thai restaurant across the street. The girls are always blasting some kind of something or other off the stereo, things that I don't know anything about. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Let's go and do some of that. But I talk to friends, and they're forever inspiring. I got a call from Neil Young on my birthday. It was lovely to hear his voice, and I thought about all the lovely things we had done together. His humor, his Canadian perspective, his commitment. I thought about a lot of things just from one little phone call from an old friend. Mm-hmm.
Well, you've said in a previous interview that I saw that you said that you get ideas all the time, and sometimes it's a gift and a curse. Why is it a curse?
Well, ideas are only ideas until they get put into play. So the curse might be that we don't get around to doing something about every one of them. I'm an inventor. I have beautiful ideas that have nothing to do with music, but I don't have the time to do anything about them. But I came up with one that I'll tell you about. Mm-hmm. We job creation program that also is a nice contribution to inner peace. We do away with the backup beeper, and now you have to have a person that replaces the beeper. A little bit like the cross guards, when you come home to work, there's people helping kids. So this is the same cross guard gets a job riding shotgun, but they jump out and they direct traffic for the backing of a truck, and no more beeping. Stop the beeping. No more beeping.
All that for beeping. I love it.
Oh my goodness, if we ever wondered
We can
If
talk
we ever
more
wondered why people are jumping off bridges, it's because they're being tortured by beeps.
with the beeps. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I actually wake up when I hear it in my head. But there's another song on the album that I wanted to talk to you about. It's called Power, and that was apparently inspired by a message from your longtime collaborator, Brian Eno, about the injustices occurring in Uganda, the country that I was born in. And you and Brian first met in Hamilton. What was it about your, I guess, your chemistry, your the way you understood each other that that fostered this relationship?
Well, I appreciated that Brian Eno came in with a vision, and he was going after something that he had put a lot of thought into. But it was very quite far out and, let's say, non-commercial at that time. And but we dove into the processing of sound, and it really opened up a lot of doors for me in my own mind. If not business doors, it opened up a way of looking at music, and that was pretty much it. From that experience, I decided that I would always work on things that I loved the most. And I came up poor, so we had to record a lot of things to make some cash to buy equipment and all that. I have no regrets about it, but I did reach that crossroads where I thought, okay, from here on, I'm going to stick with what I love the most. So, and I hope everybody has a chance to get there within their own commitments.
Do you think that you said something really interesting there? Because I grew up also poor, new immigrant to the country, and that shaped the way that I see the world. How do you think that helped you see the world, especially after you reached such astronomical success?
Well, when it's a realistic situation, in my case, we didn't have a daddy around, and my mom had 4 kids. She was pretty young, so I knew that I had to work, or else, it wasn't just going to fall out of the sky. So it created, it was definitely a real environment where I had to make a go of things, and I think that sets a standard. Somebody might call it a work ethic, and let it be. But I think in my case, I learned very young that if I wasn't about to do it, if I didn't do it myself, then someone else was not going to do it for me.
You have a new single out called Torn Again, and it's another project that you're working on. And this one, it features a recording of Leonard Cohen reciting a poem. I wanted to play a short clip for our viewers. Shelton, please.
All right. Thank you, Nat.
You smile at your suffering, the sweetest reprieve. Why did you leave us? Why did you leave? You kick off your sandals and shake out your hair. It's torn where you're dancing. It's torn everywhere.
When you're working with a voice as sacred as Leonard Cohen, because watching that and hearing his voice, it's just so, like, your whole body is present when you're watching and listening to that. How do you find the balance between keeping its authenticity, like Mr. Cohen's voice, and then trying to do something different with it as you've done here?
Well, we had a job which was to frame Leonard's voice and his words and pay a compliment. So we were, but that's often the case with the center of any musical picture, be it a melody. What is the center, and how will you best complement that? Mm-hmm. If you think of it as a picture, then some things need to be in the shadows a little bit, and there might be a moon in the distance, and the foreground will be better for having a moon in the distance. You don't want the moon right next to the front of the picture. So we think in visual terms, and I suppose that's where the power of instinct comes into play. We do what we can to complement the center of the attraction. Mm-hmm. So, and to have a chance to do that for Leonard was C'était un grand plaisir, as they say in Trois-Rivières.
I wanted to translate that, but my French is not that great. But
It just means, okay, well, you get the idea.
I do get the idea. I just wanted to circle back to how we started the conversation, and we were talking about how this new album makes you feel as if you're in church. And I'm curious, what role does religion play in your music?
I don't think religion plays much of a role in my music now. I grew up Catholic and I served at the altar, and so I have that in my past. But we try and raise the spirit if we can. And my latest slogan is we try and wake up something inside a listener that it might be dormant in there, but we have a responsibility to push that little button that may make someone want to be a better person or think a certain way. And I think that's the job of art. We shouldn't be in awe of art. We should be in awe of its effect.
And you've worked with so many different artists like Peter Gabriel, U2, Bob Dylan, Emmylou Harris, the Neville Brothers, Willie Nelson, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm curious, what does a collaboration with you look like? Do you just pick up the phone and call Bono and say, I want to do something next Thursday?
Oh, no. I call Bono, who's my agent. I say, can you hook me up with Dylan? And he did. No, I've never been good at hustling for work. The work itself has opened the doors, and it speaks louder than me. So if you manage to do something good along the way and somebody hears it, then you might get a phone call. So that's pretty much been the process.
We know we live in a time and day where people are thinking about the legacy that they've created, the work that they've done, and I know it's the work you've done is very important. And from all the things that I've read about people who've worked with you, they've always said that you're a stand-up individual. You're not only talented, but you're a good person. What do you see your legacy as being?
Well, the more we do this, the more we think about, the effect of that the music might live on is a nice way to look at it. If you can keep touching hearts with something that you put a lot of work into, then I think that's probably a good job done. Legacy, well, what I said a minute ago still applies, that we try and push that button that might cause someone to change a little something about how they see life or look at themselves. So that's it. We're waker-uppers. We try and wake up something inside a listener.
Well, this has been absolutely like a highlight for me. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Colin Kish, who's editor for this show. And he's a big fan. And I was joking with him that he should have done the interview, but I just wanted you to know how much Colin appreciates your work and how much we all appreciate your work. And as I showed you before when we were off camera, the legacy, this is, my high school soundtrack. So thank you very much.
Well, you've heard of the NAMM show.
Well, now I have, yes.
The NAMM show is a big, electronic show, and it shows up in LA, all over the world. So
I had no idea.
Now we're on the real NAMM show. Very nice to meet you, NAMM.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, and continued success.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.